Paul Klee is one of our artists for Famous Artists Week. We're going to use this book, Paul Klee, written and illustrated by Mike Venezia, to learn more about this artist's life. Meg Moss actually was a consultant for this book. Paul Klee, pronounced Clay, was born near Bern, Switzerland in 1879. He was an important artist and a very good musician, writer, and teacher. He used all his talents to make a remarkable kind of modern art. Paul Klee loved color. Most of his paintings and other works of art are filled with colorful, beautiful, and exciting colors. Sometimes you can recognize certain things in Paul Klee's paintings, such as people, animals, and houses. He also used numbers and letters of the alphabet as symbols that had a special meaning to him. Paul Klee's art is known as abstract art. The objects and figures in abstract art look different from the way they look in real life. Sometimes the objects in an abstract painting don't look like anything at all. Many of Paul Klee's greatest paintings are just colors and shapes. Paul Klee always loved to draw. When he was little, he would visit his Uncle Ernst's restaurant. Paul imagined all kinds of interesting things in the patterns of the marble tabletops there. He traced what he saw onto paper. "Paul, could you hurry up? We're running out of tables." "I'm sorry, Uncle Ernst, but I just found a castle with an evil dragon about to kidnap a princess, and a brave knight is going to rescue her." Paul Klee grew up in a musical family. His mother was a singer and his father was a music teacher. They taught Paul to play the violin quite well when he was very young. Both music and art were important to Paul. It took him a long time to decide whether to become an artist or a musician. I wish Paul would make up his mind. Finally, Paul decided to study art in the city of Munich, Germany. Munich was an important art center at the beginning of the 20th century. Artists there were trying new and exciting things. Paul met some of those artists and soon became friends with them. Wassily Kandinsky, Franz Marc, and August Macke painted in a new style that Paul had never seen before. "Please pass me the blue, I'm painting a horse." "Okay, please pass me the orange, I'm painting a tree." "Okay, could somebody please pass me the purple? I'm painting a glass of milk." Very interesting. Paul liked the bright colors and shapes these artists used, and the simple, almost childlike way they painted people and objects. He realized that a painting didn't have to look like a photograph to be a good painting. Paul worked very hard to learn all he could about drawing with line. Then he learned how to give things shape and how to make things seem solid. Finally, he learned about color. Paul also traveled as much as he could to see and learn from the works of the world's great artists. It was on one of these trips that Paul Klee decided he would spend the rest of his life as an artist. While he was visiting Tunisia, Africa, Paul noticed how beautiful, colorful things were in this beautiful and mysterious country. He thought the light there gave everything a fairy tale look. Paul couldn't wait to start painting what he saw. "Wow, give me my brushes, get my paint. What's wrong with that guy? Who knows? He's an artist." The next day, Paul began painting watercolors of Tunisia. Paul showed the excitement he felt during his trip by changing the natural shapes and colors of things. Paul Klee changed the natural look of things in his paintings for a reason. Up until Paul Klee's time, artists painted what they liked to look at or things they were familiar with. Paul and his friends thought that a painting should be more than that. Paul wanted his paintings to show worlds that had never been seen before. Paul thought it was important to give the person looking at one of his paintings, you, a special feeling deep down inside, a feeling a person can't get from an ordinary painting. If you look closely at Paul Klee's painting for a while, you might get a feeling of energy or movement through space, or see a microscopic world never seen before. Paul gave some of his paintings a musical feeling. Even though paintings don't have sound, Paul's patterns of color and shapes make many people imagine the rhythm of music. "Dear, would you turn your painting down? The baby's trying to sleep." Paul Klee was always experimenting with his painting materials and with the surfaces he painted on. Sometimes he painted on rough cloth with one kind of paint and colored over it with another kind of paint. Paul used chalks, paste, and even crayons to make colors seem like they were glowing from inside. In some of his works, you can see the ragged edges of the cloth or paper he painted on. Paul Klee always felt close to nature and carefully studied the natural things around him. When he was a teacher, Paul taught his students not to imitate a camera which copies objects as they appear. He wanted his students to look below the surface of things to find new and exciting worlds. Paul Klee's paintings often show his sense of humor. Sometimes he used interesting titles to make his paintings more fun. Near the end of his life, Paul Klee's colors became a little darker and the titles of his work became more serious. But he still painted pictures filled with fantasy and magic. Okay, so our artist challenge for Paul Klee is to use shapes and colors to draw a village or a town or a city like these Paul Klee examples show us. So have fun and be creative.